Hello, hello. Hey guys, it's Kimmi, Notary Life with Kimmi. Well, guess what? I am coming to you today to talk about my notary stamp broke. Yes, it did. So I don't know if you have ever had that happen, but look, I got a piece of it here and the rest of it goes here, right? So what happened was, so let me just get right to it. So, well, first of all, some of you may not know me. So really quick, I'm Kimmi, Notary Life with Kimmi. I am a notary trainer in the state of Georgia, but I train all 50 states. If you have not seen one of my books for your state, check it out. It's entitled Start Your Notary Business. It's not that complicated. You could put Alabama, Alaska, Michigan, what else? Missouri, Mississippi, Texas, Florida. I wrote a book for every state. So it's at the website notaryeducatorsllc.com. I'm very passionate about helping people to become a notary, but not only just become a notary, become a great notary. So check out the website, notaryeducatorsllc.com, for your book, okay? So now let's get into my notary stamp in two pieces. So y'all know that cannot be good. So my friend calls me. She said, hey, can you do a notary for me? Okay, fine. So we get there. She arrives. I pull out my stamp and everything. And I look at it and I said, oh my God. So if you can see, I'm going to get a little closer. It's cracked, right? So here go the other piece of it. I didn't even know where the other piece was. But as you can see, it's cracked right here. I'll do it like that. You can see it better. So I'm like, oh my God, is my stamp gonna work, right? So she done drove up there. So she wasn't even a paying client. But imagine if she was a paying client and my stamp is broke. I have them come to me, or even if I travel to them, worst case, and I didn't burn up my gas and everything, and I get there and no stamp, right? So anyway, I proceed to pull it out and I go ahead and do a sample stamp just to make sure. I know this little plastic piece probably didn't have anything to do with the actual stamp, but I wasn't sure if it was still stamped correctly because it's on there for a reason. When they made it, they put this piece. So when I actually stamped it, everything was okay, right? So thank goodness, because like I said, she traveled to me with her mom and that was a task in itself. So it did work. But I have a couple tips for you. First of all, have you ever had your stamp to break on you? If you watched any of my videos, if your state allows, and most states do, I always recommend having two stamps. Why? For this very reason. For this very reason, my stamp broke, okay? So imagine you doing a 140 page refi and your stamp is broke. There's nothing you can do. So I always say have a backup. So I had a backup, but I was able to use my cute pink one, but my backup one is a round one. I don't prefer to use this round stamp because it's just big. It doesn't fit all documents very nicely. My little rectangular one fits 99% of my documents. It's very rare that I have a problem with this one. So I do have a backup. I always encourage you to have a backup too if your state allows. So check your handbook first. And then if you can have a backup, have two. Now, I have a round one because that's the first one that I bought. But my preference, again, is the rectangular one. So I want to give you a couple more tips about ordering your stamp really quick because this happened to me. One, you want to have a backup stamp because it takes about a week or 2 weeks sometimes for your notary stamp to come to you in the mail. When you're customizing your stamp or when you're putting the information in, you want to make sure it's exactly the way it was issued from your state. Okay? Why do I say that? Because I was going to order it the day that it broke, but I was running. I had another appointment, so I couldn't order right that second. So later I was laying in the bed. I said, let me go ahead and order my notary stamp that broke so I can replace it. Because I always like to have two, and especially as I stated, my rectangular one. So when I went to order it, it wanted me to customize it. So I was like, did I use my middle initial or not? I couldn't remember. So is it a big deal? Yes, especially when you start doing apostilles, because your signature and your stamp, everything needs to match the Secretary of State office or whoever issues your notary commission. It must match. So I started to order it without because I just wasn't sure. Then I got to thinking, I said, I'm pretty sure because I usually use my middle initial on everything. Sure enough, Jeffrey had looked at it, my husband, and he told me later the next day, he was like, your middle initial is on your stamp. He checked it. And then I checked it too, because I always like to make sure I don't even take the word of Jeffrey. Because it's my stamp, my commission, okay? And I want you guys to be equally protective of your stamp, your commission. Your family member might want to help you do something or whatever, but at the end of the day, you're the notary, the commission is in your name, and you need to double check everything. Because if I ordered it wrong, and just so happens Jeffrey was like, oh yeah, you need a Y or you don't need a Y for my middle initial. Either way, it's wrong. When it come back, I'm gonna be like, you told me such and such. No, it's Kimberly's commission, so I need to be the one checking out to see what it actually says, right? So that's one tip. You want to make sure you have the correct information when ordering your stamp. It must match your commission. So if your name is John S. Smith, on your stamp, it should say John S. Smith. If your name is Robert, it cannot say Bobby. It needs no nicknames and all that. It needs to be your official legal name, or what some people say, your government name. All right. So that's a couple of tips right there. Also, again, you might want to get you a round one, but I always usually use my rectangular. Also, what other tips did I have for you today? Oh, make sure, 2 more tips for sure. I went to use this, which is my acknowledgement stamp, because I had to add this to her document. It didn't have any notarial wording. Make sure you can see that. When I went to use this, the piece of paper showing me which way to stamp was missing. Yeah. So when I went to stamp, and again, I did a sample first because I wasn't sure which way to turn it. It stamped upside down. So fortunately, I did a sample stamp first, and then I put the piece of paper back on here. I'm actually going to tape this because it's a little flimsy, but I like it here. So I'm actually going to tape this on here now that I'm talking to you guys. That's a tip for you too. So I'm going to tape this, and that way that won't fall out, and I'll always know which way to use it. Another tip is if your stamp does not have a way for you to know it, like in this case, the little ribbon for the breast cancer is facing me, so I already know which way to stamp. But if it wasn't and it's on the top facing me the correct way, if it were not, then you could put a piece of tape or something here just so you can recognize what side you should be stamping on, because you do not want to stamp upside down. And then my last tip about the notary stamp is I put everything in this bag. I found this little bag and I love it, right? So before I was just doing this, look, just throwing everything in there, not this sloppily, but just kind of throwing everything in there. And then when I put my embosser, many of you know I love and use this embosser. Let me just show you for those who don't. This makes a little crimpy thing with a gold seal on your power of attorneys, wills, special documents. So when I put that in there, it made it kind of heavy. And I think that's why my stamp cracked. And Jess said, well, probably because it's just old. I had it for a few years. But I really believe it's from just wear and tear. And again, I kind of threw it all in here and then threw that heavy embosser on top of it. So in the future, though, I'm going to keep the embosser in my other little zipper bag. In this little bag, I have my tape, which I'm going to go ahead and tape this right now. Because remember, I told you guys I was going to tape this. So I'm going to tape that while it's on my mind. So I'm going to take a little piece of tape just to make sure that that doesn't fall out. And you might want to copy this too. So I'll put a piece of tape. Now, do I really like the way that look? No. I'm a little OCD about my stuff and how it looks for my business. But I don't want that to fall out. And it's really important that it doesn't also. Because, again, you stamp somebody's paper upside down and they only have one paper or one document. That's not going to be good, right? So we're going to go ahead and put that tape on there, which I did. So now I'm going to put the heavier embosser, because this thing is pretty heavy. I'm going to stick it in my other bag that's a little cushioned, and that way it won't have as much room to move around. And then I'll go back to this bag and put my other stamp in there, my pink one. And just one more tip. I know I said one. I always got tips, y'all. But on this notary stamp here, you can push it in, and this is what I should do, and lock it. Okay? That's what I should have did. I never do that. I don't know why, because I use it so much. But you should lock it. So you see how flat that is? That way it probably would not have broken. And actually, this is another one that can go flat. Let me just show you. Just pull it out, and it can go back flat. Just lock it back in place. So another little tip is lock all of your stamps so they don't break. Okay? Because even this one, I got 2 of these. My acknowledgement stamp, I have 2 of those. So I keep just about 2 of everything because I am in the business of making money. And if my stamp don't work, I don't work. So anyway, guys, if you have not bought your book for your state, again, check it out. Start Your Notary Business. I have this one. But again, it's specifically written for your state. Whatever state you're in, I wrote 50 of them. Plus Washington, D.C. I said it's terrible. Washington, D.C. get a bad rep because they're not part of the 50 states. But I remembered Washington, D.C. So you even have a book too. All right. Well, anyway, guys, until next time, I am Kimmi, Notary Life with Kimmi. And don't let your notary stand break. Get ready. Don't let it break. My stamp broke. Okay. Bye. Until next time.